Confusion filled the spectators' minds, but one thing was for certain. Goku's body had taken over his mind. What had happened to him? Now in a time of peace, Goku was just a farmer, until the day he decided that farming wasn't good enough, so he went to King Kai's planet to train his body again. And it was here that something amazing, hidden within himself, would appear, something that one day would grow into an unimaginable technique. Another amazing technique that I discovered is the ability to make a promise to you, my anifan, to have the coolest stories about your favorite animes. So, if you're not part of it, click that subscribe button, turn the notifications on. We're the smartest and coolest anime family on YouTube. Hurry! It's quicker than instant transmission. While on King Kai's planet, Goku met someone that would prove to him that there was a far greater power in this world for him to achieve. This person was none other than Beerus. Goku had no idea there was a being of this strength. Obviously, he was ready to test the power of a god. Laughingly, Beerus agreed to the naive Saiyan's request. Here were the terms. Goku would try to land just one attack on Beerus, and if Beerus was shown enough power, he would also attack Goku. Filled with excitement, Goku began, but his attacks as a Super Saiyan 1 made no contact. He went Super Saiyan 2, still nothing. It was time for his final form, Super Saiyan 3, and what he did next was the first step to unlocking a secret technique. Goku charged forward, but suddenly changed his direction and jumped backward. His luck was at an all-time high. Why? Well, you see, at that exact moment, Beerus had decided he was going to attack, and the damage would have been fatal. But what was that? Beerus didn't know it, but Goku had just experienced something very strange. Here's what happened. His subconscious told him that something bad was coming, bad enough to kill him. This life or death situation forced Goku to push his power further. That's how he was able to unlock a piece of the secret technique for the very first time, which was Goku had unknowingly retreated. However, he wouldn't be able to perfect this secret unless he trained. And to do that, first he had to learn that this technique even existed. Eventually, Goku and Vegeta went into training under Whis, but the information they were about to hear was not something they were expecting to learn. Whis told Goku and Vegeta to gang up on him and just try to land an attack. Unlike with Beerus, Goku was now much stronger than Super Saiyan 3, yet he found himself in the same exact situation as on King Kai's planet. No matter what they did, neither Saiyan could land a single blow. Whis was moving way too fast for them to keep up. Stop! Whis held out his hand and stated a harsh fact. You completely lack speed. Goku had reached a new problem, and only Whis knew the solution. Problem was, Goku and Vegeta were slowing their own selves down. To move as quickly as Whis had been, they had to stop thinking before moving. Learning this would allow them to avoid all danger. Plus, if they ever wanted to be able to beat Beerus or any other god, this secret technique must be learned. But here's the thing, even Beerus hadn't mastered it yet, so how would Goku be able to? You see, by analyzing their every move, they were wasting time. To have each body part think for itself, they would have to let their mind give over all control to their senses. But how can one teach themselves to lose control? That almost sounds backwards. But soon Goku would experience this, and all by accident. The tournament between Universes 6 and 7 had just ended, and something was off. It was like Goku was broken. He even lost his enormous appetite. But the real problem started after his family convinced him to talk to King Kai about it. As usual, the only way to get to King Kai's planet was by instant transmission. But this time, it didn't work. He ended up somewhere totally different. But he tried again, multiple times. And each time his destination was random. Finally, he made it to King Kai's and got an explanation. Something he had done at the recent tournament was causing the issue. Goku had been reckless, and it threw his energy all out of whack. The cause was using Kaioken times 10. King Kai warned him about using that technique. It would cause his senses to separate from his mind. Interesting. That technique sounded familiar somehow. So how could he fix it? There was only one cure for this: rest. Something Goku hated to do, but using his energy too much would result in the worst thing imaginable: his retirement from martial arts. Goku's decision was obvious. But what about the separation of mind and senses? That was why his body was doing something different from what his mind told it to do. Hadn't he heard of this before though? Of course! This was the same technique Whis had been telling him and Vegeta about. But not only had he heard of it, he had also experienced this way before Whis had ever said anything. He just didn't know it. Do you remember? The time he retreated from Beerus' future deadly attack was Goku's body separating from his mind, which allowed him to jump back without thinking about it first. And now, he was trying to use his energy while being unable to control it. So technically, Goku was training this technique without even realizing it. But his his training wasn't even close to complete yet. Sometime later, Goku stood outside his house meditating when a malicious nature swept over his body. It only took him a second to understand what he was feeling. Hit was coming to kill Goku, but that's all he knew. When? Where? How? These were the questions that started racing through his head. To save his own life, Goku knew he would have to sense Hit before his chance to attack ever came. You can call it paranoia if you want, but Goku forced himself into a constant state of heightened senses. And to train them even further, Goku walked around town with his eyes closed, seeing the world around him through his senses alone. But something he had once shown before was about to show its face again. He stupidly ran into the street, just in time for a car to hit him. The woman struggling to free herself from the mangled up car was Bulma. As you can imagine, she was livid and swung her hand at Goku's face, but she missed. This was the first time Goku had ever avoided a hit from her before. He apologized for dodging. He didn't mean to. You've seen this before. It was just like in his fight versus Beerus. Once again, he was showing the ability of mind from body separation, but there was a major difference here. Remember, Wiz said that if Goku were able to learn this technique, then he would be able to dodge all danger. His fight with Beerus had turned into a life or death situation, but being hit by Bulma was not even close to that. Yet he still instinctively dodged. Here's what you're missing. Goku had unknowingly trained this separation technique to the point that it no longer had to be something dangerous in order to dodge it. Little did he know, he was about to take that technique to a completely different level. His fiercest battle to date was soon approaching. Goku versus Jiren. Goku disappeared into the dense energy of the spirit bomb, but something happened just before he was consumed by it. As if he was passing out, his eyes had gone completely white. What do you think that could mean? His mind was gone, but his body was just barely hanging on. The two had been separated. Just then, an expression of anger covered his face. A common life or death choice was being determined, something called the fight or flight response. In that moment, Goku chose to fight. When he flashily reappeared, his eyes were still completely white. You know what that means. His body and mind were still split apart. Being void of energy, Goku was barely able to stand. He closed his eyes and took a breath. Something drastic was about to take place. He reopened his eyes and was much different than before. The iris of his eyes now shone like silver, and even more curiously, he was no longer depleted of energy. Now he had a massive amount of it, and heat was radiating from his body. Was this even him? Goku had entered a new state of being. But something else was strange. It has always been very characteristic of Goku to be a bit cocky once reaching a new level of power. But this time, he was all business and quick, faster than most could see or even sense. Goku was suddenly avoiding all attacks that approached him, and he did so without effort. Confusion filled the spectators' minds, but one thing was for certain. Goku's body had taken over his mind. What had happened to him? Multiple things had just taken place all at once. The combination of them allowed Goku to enter the state he was in. So what were these things? And how did they all fit together? To answer that, you need to understand the Kaioken technique. It is not a form. Imagine it like this. The power of Goku's Super Saiyan Blue form is inside a closed glass container. Kaioken times 10 fills it a bit more than that, and it just keeps going. But eventually, the power of that form will fill the container completely, which will break the container open and give Goku a brand new form. Now do you understand? What we just saw was the Kaioken times 20 fill the container for the Super Saiyan Blue form. His life or death moment inside the Spirit Bomb forced Goku to push his power even further, which broke that container wide open. He had a completely different form. And remember, this was the first time he had ever used Kaioken times 20. And just like his first time using Kaioken times 10, the reckless use of his energy caused a separation between his mind and body. These two things, combined with the training Goku had unintentionally been doing all along, allowed him to add a new technique to his new form. His brand new secret technique was Ultra Instinct. So, what is his actual form then? Is it the heat coming from his body? Did it come from the Spirit Bomb? Have we seen the same heat before? The first to know will be my Anifam. So if you're not part of it, hurry up, click the subscribe button, and turn the notifications on. Otherwise, you'll never know the secrets of Goku's new heat. Now you are in a new state of being called Anifam, the smartest and coolest anime family on YouTube.